Alright, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome back to another Genshin Impact lore reading session. I felt that it was appropriate to take a trip down memory lane with our wanderer friend here and visit a location that some of us probably realize hits a little different after you finish that Archon Quest interlude chapter. We're at the good old Mikage Furnace. Crying emotes in chat, feel free to let out your emotions. R.I.P. Niwa, you were the actual GOAT. But I felt like coming here to follow up on getting a reasonably relevant venue for the Wanderer based on his lore, his history in Inazuma, obviously his relationship with Niwa, and like everything that happened in Tatarasuna with the Mikage Furnace, his second betrayal, and things of that nature. And so we are here, and it actually hits a little different because didn't realize the significance of this place was going to be as impactful as it was. God forbid I actually go into the furnace to read the lore. That would actually be a little too much for some people, but you know what? We do things different around here, and that's exactly what we're doing. No! No! We got our boy, the Wanderer, actually Galileo, formerly known as the Wanderer, formerly known as Kunikazushi, formerly known as Balladeer, formerly known as Scaramouche. I'm gonna stop. Birthday, January 3rd, so next month we get to celebrate this man. It's gonna be the most passive-aggressive birthday letter ever. He's like, I hate you, leave me alone, don't talk to me, I wish I was never born. Sadness birthday, all right? Not happy, Sag. Birthday, January 3rd, affiliated with none of y'all. Fuck all of you, fuck the gods, fuck the humans, fuck the Harbingers, fuck humans and everybody else. I hate all of you equally. And he's got an animo vision. A wayfaring figure whose identity is a mystery. He dressed like a mountain ascetic, but he certainly does not act the part. Character details. He needs not introduce himself, for ordinary folks will not get to know him, nor will he need to immerse himself in the sea of humanity, for he has long forsaken any worthless emotions. Oh my god. Several times now he has risen and fallen, and now he lives only for himself. Wanderer is how he believes he might be best described. He has no home, no kin, and no destination. Like the breeze, he lives in this world, and he walks its length and breadth. I wouldn't say you have no kin. You definitely have a mom and a sister. Let's get that out of the way. Whether you want to acknowledge them or not is completely up to you, but it is what it is. You have no home, that's fair. No destination, you're wandering aimlessly, but Nahida's gonna give you a new purpose, and I love that dynamic. If there's anything that I took away from the Archon Quest interlude chapter is that I love how he's basically going to be like Nahida's right-hand man. Character story 1. Holy mother of text. Oh my god. Character story 1. Many years ago, the Wanderer was not called by that title. Indeed, he has had many, all of which corresponded to a special status he possessed at that time. Today, many of these past affairs have been forgotten. The puppet, the eccentric, Kabuki Mono, the sixth seat of the Fatui Harbingers, the balladeer. Each of these was a thread of fate tying the puppet's joints down. Any recollection must begin several hundred years ago, when the puppet had shed tears upon being born, would not be given a name, but was instead only given a small golden feather that's on his fucking person as proof of his personage. He would be laid to rest within Shake Pavilion, staring blankly at the beauteous scenes within. The flaming maple leaves, the exquisite window lattices. Within that lovely prison, he lost all perception. It was by accident that a kind-hearted samurai named Katsuragi would enter the pavilion and rescue him. It was Katsuragi who brought him to live in Tatarasuna and meet the people who lived there. Then, the puppet was as naive as a newborn, filled with goodwill and gratitude towards humans. Katsuragi, upon seeing the golden pinion on his person, knew that this puppet must not have been an ordinary stock, yet have his reasons not to mention his place of origin. Thus, he omitted all mentions of Shake Pavilion, instead claiming falsely that he found this young man while patrolling Nizuchi Beach, and he bade the puppet play along so as to not expose expose the lie. So is that golden feather like a reference to the almighty Shogun? So it's like maybe he knows where that feather originates from and he doesn't want to lie about the whole thing just so it doesn't raise suspicions with others. Because I feel like the relationship with the Electro Archon is very different at this point compared to how it was before Makoto died. Busy, bustling Tatarasuna was a place of many happy memories for the puppet. There he was briefly human, there he was briefly normal. Katsuragi, Mikoshi Nagamasa, Niwa, Miyazaki, and many other now forgotten people from Tatarasuna would teach him to read and write, to start fires and make meals, to forge. Yes, they accepted him as their friend. They even asked him, don't you want a name? Or are you going to let people out there call you Kabuki Mono? Yet he had no dislike for this name. Kabuki Mono refers mostly to those who wear vibrant colors and behave in a particular manner. Yes, they made him different, but such was proof of his humanity, proof that he belonged in Tatarasuna. Pity then, that though he loved this name so, he would be forced to forsake it. For when he no longer wished to become human, it lost its meaning. He would depart, and after arriving at the distant north, would join the wild banquet of the Harbingers, working to win the 6th seat amongst them. It was the Tsaritsa who would grant him the new title, the Balladeer. Strength, power, and the desire for conflict. These he already possessed. The chess pieces raised tides of madness amidst battle, and the slaughtering on the stage appended order. In that moment, he was sure that the Balladeer was his true name. That took a jump from second betrayal to joining the Fatui Harbinger ranks after everything else went down. Interesting, let's go deeper. Character story 2. In the early days when Tatarasuna was still a prosperous place, the Wanderer walked amongst its people, going by the name Kabuki Mono. And the thing that ended his peaceful life was not all that important in the grand scale of Inazuma's history. Change came to the place in the form of the Akame clan and a mechanist from Fontaine named Esker. Oh boy, where history's repeating itself, ladies and gentlemen. The two cooperated very closely to further improve forging quality, and in the process, Akame introduced Esker to Niwa, who was also from the 3 Ishin traditions. Esker's arrival caused quite the stir at the time, for it was through his revolutionary new techniques that were able to process crystal marrow, because he knew that crystal marrow was born from the deceased god's essence, which in turn would harbor Tataragami. Like, man's just set these people up for a drive-by 400 years beforehand, in such a way that their forging efficacies and production were both increased. But as time passed, anomalies emerged within the great central furnace in Tatarasuna. Black gas gathered within the furnace, and it would gradually affect the bodies of the craftspeople there. Forging and smelting were the foundations of life in Tatarasuna, but now it had become death itself. And as the toll mounted, the great furnace further went out of control. None could get close to the core, and even stopping it became nigh impossible. At the highest authority of Tatarasuna, Niwa was forced to enact an information blackout while sending people to Inazuma City to beg aid from Tenshukaku. For some reason, however, those who took the ship to sea never returned. I wonder why. Horror began seeping into the heart of Tatarasuna's people. The Kabuki Mono knew that Niwa needed the Raiden Shogun's aid, but did not know that it was the very year that she was successfully build the perfect puppet using parts of herself as materials, thus handing over management of the nation to the Guardian of Eternity. Wow, so that was the same year that the Raiden Shogun took over. So they could have had a shot if they got to A before that all went down. He thus boarded a small boat and braved storms and rains to arrive at Tenshukaku, seeking an audience with the Shogun. But she now dwelled in the plain of Euthymia, and he was repeatedly refused. In desperation, he displayed the golden feather on his person and asked to see Yai Miko instead. Yai Miko wants your ass dead, buddy. At this time, Miko was busy assisting the Guardian, and then she rushed down as soon as she heard the news. She could only meet the distressed Kabuki Mono briefly, yet he had no ears for her promises to send people to their aid immediately and returned in despair, convinced that the shogunate had forsaken Tenshukaku. Still, the dispatch was sent. The people were mobilized and they crossed the sea, yet they arrived to no great disaster. Indeed, most people knew nothing of what had happened. It was the mechanic, Esker, who explained that Niwa had fled with his family for fear of punishment for his malfeasance, and that Kabuki Mono had gone into the core zone in his place, shutting the furnace down. Receiving word that the Kabuki Mono had been friends with the fleeing Niwa, Yai guessed at the heaviness in his heart, did not wish to further disturb him, merely sending someone to return the feather to him. Later still, he would disappear without a trace from Tatarasuna. Props to Dottore. He went in there, he caused a bunch of havoc and craziness, and he got out, set that place up for disaster, recruited a 6th Harbinger, came back 400 years later. The puppet that he recruited got the Gnosis, and then he followed up with grabbing that Gnosis and the Dendrognosis 400 years later from Sumeru. Like, GG, too easy for him. No wonder he's the 2nd. He definitely earned that rank. Later still, he would disappear without a trace from Tatarasuna, but as people reminisced, they could never forget the celebratory dance he had performed together with them on the day that Mikoshi Nagamasa successfully forged his great blade. His steps fluttered lightly as the feathers in the wind then, and they could not have known that he, like a feather, would depart from them and journey to places unknown. Yeah, so we're getting his fully explored Tatarasuna history in writing here, because I guess it explained it from a bunch of different perspectives, but now I guess it's also kind of from his, and it's just fleshing out things that we've already known from the Archon quest, which is fine. Character story 3. After leaving Tatarasuna, the Kabuki Mono met third betrayal. After leaving Tatarasuna, the Kabuki Mono met a young child in a small house by the seaside somewhere in Inazuma. The young boy was weak and sickly, and he lived in a rickety old place into which the rain leaked. Seeing his constantly mud-caked face through the gaps in the decrepit wooden door, the Kabuki Mono felt something twist in his heart, as if some ancient feelings had been reawakened. And so he stayed within the wooden house to care for the sick boy, bringing him melons, fruit, and water to drink, helping him to sweep the filth from his face. Many days later, then the child's parents did not return. It was only later that the Kabuki Mono learned that the parents were also workers from Tatarasuna, and they might have lived normal and happy lives, if not for husband and wife contracting some strange illness during their work, often coughing up blood as a result. Tatarasuna. Or Tadaragami, I should say. That they had not returned indicated that they may have passed without any fanfare in some place out there. Child's name was unimportant, for he had another identity. He was Kabuki Mono's friend, and family besides. They talked about how they had been born and promised to continue to live together in this ramshack hut. As proof of their friendship, the Kabuki Mono took the boy to Chake Pavilion to see the place where he had once lived. The flaming maple leaves, the ancient latticed windows, all was as it had been. All that time, he believed that he would never return here, but he did not realize that the child could die in only one night. One night, barely enough time for the Kabuki Mono to go out and find some food or swipe some furnitures from others no longer had any use for it. Though he had already witnessed such change, he never knew that another person's passing was something that could occur in such a brief moment, or that this brief moment could grant him nothing but pain. After the shock, he felt incomparable fury. He was alone, again. Was he not once more abandoned? Again. The boy's small body on the ground was curled up like a jumble of flower petals, a corner of it stained with red like the maple leaves, red like a blazing fire. That night, a great flaming glow lit the seaside. The Kabuki Mono burned the wooden house, and finding himself an old straw hat from within it, left to begin his long journey. He wandered everywhere, not knowing where to go, and though he would meet many more people along the way, he would never again regard any of them as his companions. Raiden Shogun abandoning him was definitely a misunderstanding on his part, not understanding why she wanted to do that or why she chose to do that. Clearly it worked out for the worse for him, for his life experiences. The second one, obviously a doctored experience by Dottore. Hook, line, and sinker, completely manipulated the entire situation and ended up getting him in the end. And then the third betrayal was just, the unfortunate realities of just being a fragile human. It's re-expressed here too, but he was just tired of dealing with pain and suffering and loss and not having any proper way to cope with it. So he was just like, fuck everything. I'm just gonna live for me, myself, and I. Find usefulness in others, Character story 4. The sixth of Snezhnaya's Fatui Harbingers is known as the Balladeer, and yet his name was not his to own from the start. Indeed, they were yet separated by over 100 years. After leaving Inazuma, he forsook the name Kabuki Mono, reverting to his nameless state, and did not even consider taking another until the Jester found him. We got that little moment during the Archon quest. In the end, such titles as Puppet or Kabuki Mono were all given to him by mortals, and since he would no longer have them as companions, there was no point in using names they gave him. But the Jester proved more persuasive, and the Puppet was intrigued by the frenzied banquet he spoke of, and so accompanied the man to Snezhnaya to serve in the Fatui. A stranger named the Doctor would welcome him warmly in this frigid northern land, inviting the Wanderer to be the key reference material in his experiment, his grand research project. What a fucking snake. Puppet making techniques had their roots in Khaenri'ah, and his nature as a creation of the Electro Archon made him all the more special. Wait, Khaenri'ah can make puppets too? Is that like basically how Ruin Guards are? Are Ruin Guards just basically puppets of creatures? The Doctor was fascinated by this field of study, and using the Wanderer as a foundational blueprint, would perform research and experiments for several decades before finally attaining the techniques that would go on to form the basis for his segments. Wow. Dottore even used Scaramouche to further his own plans of creating different versions of himself throughout time. I did not realize that that was based on like his framework as a puppet. Another reason why I think he's Zandik is because Zandik was also involved in like being very interested in Khaenri'ah technology in some of those research notes that we found in the desert. I'm pretty much like 100%, like I've been for a while, but like this is just another layer on top of the Zandik is Dottore identity, because again, puppet making techniques are rooted in Khaenri'ah, as are the ruin machines that Zandik was obsessed with. So yeah, but I did not realize that his segments must have been puppets too. I still don't know like what the process is like for him to give a part of himself to those segments. How are those segments a part of him? I figured A did it because of her gnosis, but like for Dottore to do something like that too is wild. In return, the Doctor would unlock the seal on his body, causing his abilities to greatly increase to the point where he was a match for the lower ranked Harbingers. And even so, he did not choose another name. His colleagues called him the Puppet, and so he saw himself also a puppet unafraid of death and inexhaustion. On the Tsaritsa's orders, he would lead a company to explore the abyss, and there he spent much time. I wonder if he's come across Skirk at all. More than once he was wounded, then repaired by the Doctor, and thus he grew stronger, surviving to be wounded again by even mightier foes. Much later, he would bring the results of his exploration back to Snezhnaya, gaining the 6th seat in the process. His orders were also changed. Instead of exploring the abyss, he was now to constantly be on standby, assisting the clandestine activities of the Fatui across the world. And it was only then that he felt that the new name, the Balladeer, fit him. First, he showed up in Liyue. The first time we ever interacted with him was in Liyue. Then he showed up in Mondstadt, tailing the Traveler. Then he showed up in Inazuma. Then he showed up in Sumeru. So this man's like Mr. Worldwide of Teyvat. Wow, so he was originally an Abyss soldier, just fighting in the Abyss and leveling up, farming for materials, farming for, you know, certain monsters out there for experiments. Like, I really hope Dottore at the very least has made some abyssal experiments for like new monster types for us to fight when we go to Snezhnaya. The fact that Wanderer has been to the Abyss, and not only that, but he trained in the Abyss and he got stronger as a result. Can we also talk about the fact that the Tsaritsa just has like a freaking back door into the, like, just jumps into the Abyss like nothing? You know, Child accidentally stumbled into like a fissure in a freaking hole in the ground and ended up in there. But it seems like they just have like a back door entrance into that place to do whatever the hell they want, which is wild. And I wonder if that could potentially be a future domain, a Spiral Abyss 2.0 maybe, or just like a location point for a future plot for story related purposes. Character story 5. The many things that happened after that might even be called soul stirring, but for the fact that few now remember them, aka Irminsul. Only those who witnessed the witness. Only those who witnessed those events would keep them as legends in their hearts, and so they continue to quietly exist as ancient songs lost to the world. Within Irminsul, the balladeer came in contact with the truth that Lesser Lord Kusanali had placed within the flow of information. God, please talk about the fucking false sky. You're the one who fucking started this entire thing. This secret had been hidden within one of the doctor's many hearts, and just as she claimed, this truth in first person contained all of his remaining honesty. And thus did the balladeer come to know the past truths. Niwa, who had taught him how to live like an ordinary human and treated him like one, had not fled to Tarasuna to escape punishment, as Escher had claimed. In fact, the true culprit had been Escher, no, the doctor all along. And as for the heart that had been placed within the balladeer, it had been cut, still warm, from Niwa's breast. That is so fucking tragic, man. The heart of his best friend was ripped out of him and put into him to be used to fuel what would later be a vital asset for the Tsaritsa. Dotore's diabolical, but like, holy fuck, what an incredible character. What an amazing villain. I have nothing but like respect that he just doubles down and that's just who he is. I love it. This death had been neatly packaged within an incident at the forge. As such was Escher's silvered tongue that he all too quickly convinced everyone that it was due to the failures of the local overseer. As the next person in charge, Mikoshi Nagamasa would not face capital punishment if not for the interventions of his loyal samurai retainer, Katsuragi, who willingly took the burden for wrongdoing upon himself. The tragedy that followed need not be elaborated upon. Nagamasa, unwilling as he was, had to wash the stain from the Mikoshi name and could not allow himself to die here. And so he brought forth his beloved blade, the Daitatara Nagamasa, and struck Katsuragi down in a single blow. The blade cutting so deeply that it nearly split the slain man in twain. And had they not all believed in their god, why then do they have to face such a calamity? If the enigmatic puppet they called the Kabuki Mono had never existed, would Escher have done the same thing here? Even if the chances were infinitesimal, could the tragedy of Tatarasuna have been salvaged? You know what's crazy about all this too? I didn't realize that like actions are like permanent. I thought of Mona's dialogue after that quest line, which was like, fate is called as such for it cannot be changed, it cannot be reversed, it can only but be accepted. And I love how that is reinforced by the fact that even if Scaramouche never existed, those things were gonna be fated to happen because they happened. I feel like because that original timeline established that Niwa died, and it was because of like everything that had happened due to Kabuki Mono and Dotori and whatnot, that was fate being sealed. And then everything that was based off of that original timeline would also be sealed, but it would be done in a different way. Anyone elsewhere in this world would be able to do nothing about this, but not the balladeer. He knew that he alone could attempt to do one thing here and now. He believed himself bold, for he feared not death. Death was but a tiny threat to a puppet, and only humans with hearts knew horror. He also knew himself to be craven, and for that he had remorse. If he had been then more like he was at present, if he had learned to be less trusting, would those he had viewed as friends had met such a ruinous end? Traitor, hero, god, discarded, detritus, all these identities would cease to matter to one who leapt into the flux. The information flow was a place of incomparable silence, and yet his blood roiled in his ears and his mind roared. Embrace oblivion. The puppet was a discarded milksop, the Kabuki Mono unaccomplished and sheltered, and Scaramouche was a schemer, one who eventually went against divine decree, seeking to go against the tides of the world. But what of it? Once upon a time, these inhuman hands had shut a great blazing furnace without care if his 10 fingers were burned to the crisp. Now these hands gripped at the tiniest possibility, twisting the truth to fulfill his wish. Yes, embrace it. Embrace it with this form that shall be obliterated, to ruin with this life as worthless as flowers and feathers on the new dawn. Farewell, world. The future shall be what it will. Farewell, nothingness. farewell nonetheless. I guess that was his final moments before he decided to rewrite Irminsul. Yeah, he blamed himself. You know, he didn't know the truth. It wasn't because he existed, it was because others found a way to manipulate the situation. Tiny Doll. Having decided to stop by Sumeru, the Wanderer took some time off to visit Treasure Street and learn how to make toys from some of the merchants there. Oh my gosh, is this like a callback to like the Tiny Soldier? In a corner of a bustling street, a kind-hearted old fellow with hair as white as snow invited him to sit by his side, teaching him how to use cloth and thread the sew that which he wanted to make step by step. The Wanderer spent much time practicing, doing this thing that did not augur with his personality. Strange perhaps, but he did not hate it. He had done such things with great patience in times past, after all, learning things such as holding cutlery, wearing clothes, combing his hair. Yes, he had learned to do a human thing from the little things up. A few days later, his great work was complete. A little man with white clothes and black hair, a waistband tied with a butterfly knot, and a clear round tear at the corner of his eye. Indeed, back then, there was a young fellow who had made this doll in imitation of the Wanderer's past appearance. I was gonna say the tear reminds me of like when he was first created. Shame then that he had burned both the doll and his old home in the ashes when he left Inazuma. Oh, the doll his friend had. Many years later, he would make one as well, and oh, how familiar that felt. Small and soft as it was akin to a defenseless babe. It took up little space in his sleeves, and if he kept it in his hat, it would feel like a traveling companion. From today, you shall wander together with me, he said softly, placing it in his pocket. Oh my god! That's so sad! Oh my god, that's actually tragic. I feel so sad for him, man. I feel so much empathy. I wish we could see it. Like, I wish, like, he had an idle animation where he, like, takes it out for a bit and then puts it back. Or, like, he lifts his hat and it's actually on his head. I'm on equal parts happy and sad about this. Happy because, like, he decides to carry on the memory of that. Sad because of, like, what that represents of his past. Alright, well, clearly, we already saw how he got his vision, but I guess we need a text-based description of it as well. Vision. In that instant, the Wanderer could hear the wind's voice. He knew not whence it had came, only that it changed directions as if to greet him. On it were scents old and nostalgic. The iron hammer, metals, the furnace, the dust of the earth, distant dreams, a prosperous past. Incredible though it might seem, even he once led such a simple life. In that instant, he beheld his own reflection, each one vivid, each one real, each one him. Cowering in fear, pathetic in his agony, arrogant yet laughable, and they all coalesced into one body. To accept the past is to acknowledge its failings, to recognize that one is not but a coward who had achieved nothing, who has nothing, but only by doing so could he break free of his shackles and become once again that tragic person. In that moment, he knew this, that the appearances of peace and beauty were but an illusion. The real him had never died. No one lived on deep within his heart. As long as he still had a choice, he could tread the same course no matter how many times he did this over. As he moved like lightning itself, a blazing light came between him and the everlasting Lord of arcane wisdom, blocking its attack. His will and his choice had granted him the eye of the gods. The vision descended, and catching between bright light and darkness, the glittering ornament seemed almost like an eye on a smiling face, questioning him from afar. Can you, who have desired of such intensity, still be considered a being without a heart? And then he grabs the Animo vision and he's like, die. How dare you ask me such a question? I live my own life, damn it. Also, really quick, as we continue on with this, by the way, got the Wanderer to Friendship 10. Should have started this entire thing out with that, but better late than never. Wanderer, Drifter's Ballad. In a world most transient does the past hide, and in the whims of flowing flowers does thin snow abide. Nice, nice, nice. Alright, so I did take a little intermission. I just had lunch, so we are going to be continuing on with Scaramouche's dialogue now. Most likely going to be learning a thing or two about the Fatui Harbingers. However, I'm going to take a little detour. I've never done this before. I've always mainly stuck to one character per venue, but I'm deciding to change things up a little bit based on the amount of relevance that Chitara Suna has with Scaramouche in particular. So we are at Shake Pavilion, which is his home away from home, as they say. Get out of my house! Who the hell are you? Ha! Are you kidding me? I own this house. Nothing can escape me. That's actually kind of busted, not gonna lie. All right, so we are here, Shake Pavilion. We are here to jump into some tasty lore. Let's get it.
You want me to introduce myself? I've gone by many names and titles during my journey. Although each one is more eminent than any ordinary mortal could imagine, they're all just water under the bridge to me now. Call me whatever you like. Go ahead.
Go.
Let me see what you can come up with. Don't disappoint me.
Hi, Galileo. I think your name is also like a reference to the song, but also relevant to the false sky and all that jazz. So I like to think that I came up with a pretty substantial name for him, all things considered. So that's what I'll be calling him moving forward. It's great being here, but the music is a little too busy. So you know what? Since we can't go home, we're gonna go home. Third time's the charm, okay? We gotta hit all 3 spots. We gotta go to the slumbering court.
There's no such thing as pure freedom in this world. Even the wind cannot blow on forever.
I hope that's not like foreshadowing that Venti's gonna die.
You think I've got a sharp tongue? I just tell it like it is. If someone can't handle it, maybe that's their problem.
I actually really like this. When I heard this for the first time, I was like, damn, bro. This man's a savage. Like, no fucks given. He's like, hey, if something I say offends you, maybe it's actually you. All right, I don't know what to tell you. I can't speak anything but the truth. And if the truth hurts, it is what it is, you know?
There's no need to exchange pleasantries. It's rather pathetic to force a conversation just to occupy silence. You want to use my hat as an umbrella? The audacity to even make that request.
The audacity. People must love him just for that line alone. The fucking audacity to ask me to use my hat as an umbrella. I should fucking backhand you with this.
You're so happy just to see the sun again. How childish.
Chat, I guess I can't be happy that the sun's back. Unfortunate.
How irritating.
AKA mommy issues.
Fundamentally speaking, there's little difference between snow and rain, yet people lavish praise only upon the former. Fate can be truly arbitrary.
I completely agree. Rain and snow pretty much are almost the same thing. People only like snow if it doesn't stick to the ground. It's a different story than when you have to shovel it up. If you're gonna praise snow, you praise that shit whether it's in the sky or on the ground. I don't want to hear anyone complaining.
A simple breeze like this, even you can conjure it, right?
What do you mean, even you can conjure it? Trying to say I'm weak? I'm a fucking gamer, bro. You don't know me.
Rise and shine, sleepyhead. The sun's already in your eyes. Don't tell me you actually thought I'd wake you up like that.
I actually got a little... I was like, whoa, what? What kind of greeting is that? What the... I actually was just genuinely confused. Not my king. Not my puppet.
I have no need for food. Save me the trouble and take care of yourself.
Oh, God.
And that small thing floating next to you.
Bro, no wonder A doesn't know how to cook. She doesn't even have to feed her own kids. How tragic, man. It's a good thing that you don't have to eat because I can't feed you anyway. I'm a horrible excuse for a mother.
Finally, another boring day is drawing to a close.
Oh, okay. Damn. Tell me how you really feel.
What? Can't fall asleep with me around?
Okay. Galileo puppet.
A puppet consumed by a raging fire will leave behind ashes. As for what will emerge from them,
The heart of a puppet.
I'll leave that kind of thing to fate. Obsessing over something that's destined to be ever out of one's reach is just a waste of time. I have more important things to attend to at the moment.
Oh my gosh, man. You need a hug? Damn. Actually, you know what? I'm gonna hug my wanderer when this is over.
So, you're still stewing over our run-ins from before. Well, what are you going to do about it? Take your time. I'm in no hurry.
He's like, yo, either put up or shut up, all right? Stop bitching about what happened in version 1.1. That was over 2 years ago. What are you crying about?
I'll never be one of the good guys. I'm just here to pay my dues after what you've done for me. But what about you? Shouldn't you come up with some excuse for our meetings? If one of your friends mistakes you for collaborating with the enemy, you're on your own.
Guys, I'm collaborating with the enemy, so be it. I've joined the dark side.
Although the idea of divine favor makes me a little ill, I'm not going to be picky about a new source of power. You think there's some kind of meaning behind the element of animo?
Yeah.
Why did that thought even occur to you?
Yes.
The gods aren't guided by any kind of rationality or moral compass. Haven't I shown that to you already?
You have a tragic backstory, my friend, so you were destined for the Animo vision. Ask any other Animo character out there, any male Animo character out there, and you'll reach the same conclusion.
I've got nothing. Ask me anything if you want. If a question is interesting enough, I may give you an answer.
What's the false sky all about? Please, I need to know.
Look, the birds are showing off their plumage. The squirrels are busy hoarding food, and humans are laboring for their livelihoods. Truly, simple animals don't need anything complicated to be fulfilled.
Jesus Christ. Could not be me. Thank God I'm nothing like you people. Freaking simpleton of humans.
While I still had value as a pawn, she might have had other reasons to keep me alive. It's certainly possible that it was because she's wise or benevolent, or happened to see a hint of loneliness within me.
Aw.
You think I'm trying to think the worst of her? Ha! Did you really expect anything else? In case you've forgotten, I'm no saint.
God, I love him. How did we get here, chat? How did we get from Scaramouche being just like, I don't know, just being a shitty fucking scum of the earth character that like was super disrespectful and I just wanted to sock him, give him one of these. So like now I respect him a lot and he wants to live his life. He wants to be that way. He wants to be abrasive and coy. I'll give him that much. I really like how they worked him out.
She completely neglected her own creation. And to add insult to injury, she said it was because she couldn't bring herself to intervene in my fate.
Shout out to Patrick's fucking delivery. Patrick Pedraza, what a phenomenal voice actor. I feel like I've been through everything with Scaramouche. Just based on how he delivers his, like, I feel like I've been through the worst of the worst and the best of the best with this man. He didn't want to intervene in my fate. You became part of his fate by virtue of simply creating him. And she was just like, it does not involve eternity. I don't want to hear it. Maybe now things might have been different, but obviously the Shogun was a little different back in the day. You know, we only recently just changed her up. I really want something to come of it, like something, even if she doesn't remember him. We're getting to Harbinger territory now, and I'm like really excited. So we're starting with the Tsaritsa.
Everyone praises her for her kindness and benevolence, but they forget that love is also a form of sin. What if she's just trying to compensate for something?
Ah, man. She's like, yeah, you love to hate me. That's the kind of love she's brewing. She's like, you're gonna love to hate me by the end of this game. Jester.
The Jester is a survivor of Conria.
Of course.
Besides that singular fact, I know very little about him, and never had any kind of close association with him. He seems to want something from me, though. In the past, he assigned to me many important tasks, including a number of trips to the Abyss.
So he must seek something in the Abyss that he wants to help them fight against Celestia. And that's another thing too. Why send the puppet? I assume being in the Abyss for an extended period of time will have negative drawbacks on like people or humans, you know? The Jester being from Conria must mean that he's a human. Like, I don't think he's anything but. Obviously, they have the power of Chemia, loose attachments to the Abyss. He's a survivor, so he's a 500 years... I mean, I feel like we already knew that, but that's pretty much confirmed. It's just great to know. Yo, I'm gonna lose my fucking mind when we get these characters to Friendship 6, like Jester, Alice, Skirk, Rhindaughter, like the lore of these characters is just gonna like destroy me. Oh, Captain, my favorite.
The ever-righteous captain. The brave and fearless captain. The nigh invincible captain.
Hell yeah.
Even my mechanical ears demand maintenance after listening to so many compliments from the members of the Fatui.
Damn.
Don't you think that possessing absolute righteousness is actually a latent danger? And that's without taking his great personal strength into account.
I don't give a damn. All of the compliments are justified. He deserves everything. I will be taking no criticism from anybody. Your favorite Harbinger doesn't matter. Your favorite Harbinger is actually trash to Capitano, and I will die on that hill. When Capitano comes out and he pops off and he's actually like this goated king that I know he is, you'll all remember this day and you'll be like, damn, Arnold was right. I was on the wrong side of history. I didn't believe in him. I didn't believe in the goat. Anyways.
It's a pity that Lesser Lord Kusanali already forced him to erase so many of his segments.
Yeah.
The joy I would have derived from slicing them apart, one by one.
I wish they didn't delete them! I'm so mad. Thanks for reminding me. I'm actually pissed off again. Freaking manga Dotore's gone. Great. I'll never see that in game. I'll never get my 6 Paths of Dotore boss fight where we fight all of his segments at once with his original version. I'm so mad, bro. I'm so pissed.
Let me ask. What should you do if you were to encounter a damsel who is oblivious and innocent at any given time,
Columbina.
and unconcerned and unfeeling in any given situation? If it were me, I could at least challenge her to a fight. But if it were you, with your conscience, I would stay away from her.
Bro, what is this girl? Scaramouche said the exact same thing. Like, that one is built different. Like, I'm actually fucking terrified. She must be some, like, ancient eldritch fucking being to put someone like a puppet who has nothing to fear, besides being broken, maybe, and Child, who, granted, is probably the weakest of the Harbingers, but he didn't seem weak to us, like, when he fought us, and he has the foul legacy. Like, I'm so excited. I'm still excited to learn more, or when we're gonna encounter her, or when we're gonna fight her, or what her story is. I also am curious, based on the amount of recruits there are to the Harbingers, I wonder if there are any Harbingers that are linked to the Seelie civilization. There's probably one person from each nation, but I'm wondering if there's anything beyond that. But yeah, I couldn't tell you what she is. The only thing I can say is maybe she's Abyss related, but I have no clue. Arlecchino.
A wolf in sheep's clothing. To exert a higher level of control over people, she puts on a graceful and cordial front. Most of those who have seen her true crazy self have gone poof.
Let's not make the children cry now, okay? She's running that orphanage with an iron fist. I have no, like, it's just more teasing from these characters until we actually see more or hear more about what they're capable of. But, like, of course, Arlecchino, she runs the House of Hearth as, like, the main, I guess, mother of the place for people as she raises and brings up new Fatui. I expect her to be a hard ass. I expect her to have a lot to show for being in the Harbingers. I'm wondering why she is, outside of maybe just being a patriot. The fucking mayor of Snezhnaya, everybody.
Only someone as dense as Child would think the rooster's looking after him and his family out of the goodness of his heart.
That's what I said!
Although the mayor has indeed done a number of things for their benefit, anyone with a brain would be able to tell that the underlying meaning is, your entire family is in my hands.
I literally said that when we went through Child's lore, like of his original voice lines of the Harbingers.
He's kept his promise to take care of my family.
I don't know how I feel about that, dude. You know, it's like, keep your friends close and your enemies closer. It's like, bro, if anything were to go off between Child and the Harbingers, this man's basically got your family at ransom. If he's like that close, he's like, yeah, I'll take care of your family as long as you keep to your obligations, you know? So that's not good either. The fact that the mayor of Snezhnaya is looking after your family means that you have to play by their rules because they essentially have your family hostage. Anyways, Sandrone.
She has a terrible personality and cares for nothing outside of her own research.
Ooh.
But even with that amount of dedication, she still produced a copious amount of garbage and could only secure a ranking that's still one whole place beneath my own.
Damn.
How pitiful.
So she's rank 7. Rub that in her face too. It's like, damn, you're a whole rank below me. You're beneath me, you fucking worm. If this is in order, but Jester's first, does that mean Jester doesn't count and Capitano's actually first? Because I always thought Capitano would be rank 2. But if Dotore's rank 2, Columbina's confirmed rank 3, it would mean that, like, Jester doesn't count as the ranks. Which means that Capitano would actually be number 1. And if he's number 1, I'm gonna be so fucking happy. Happier than a pig in shit if Capitano is rank number fucking 1 of the Harbingers after the Jester. Oh my god, dude. I would literally die happy. Regrader, rank 9.
Oh, the 9th rank guy. He's obsessed with the idea of fair exchange, to the point of wanting to overthrow the natural imbalance between gods and humans.
Holy shit.
But I guess it's just how ordinary mortals are like. It's easy for them to come up with pointless delusions. Honestly, it's nothing worth writing home about. Just like how there's also nothing impressive about his abilities or choice of partner.
Jesus.
Anyone who chooses to work closely with a doctor is sure to meet a nasty end.
The doctor is playing with his freaking food. I wonder why rank 9 would pair up with rank 2 and think that that wouldn't go wrong for him. In the original Commedia, Dottore and Pantalone were our alter egos of each other. Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, I guess Regrader is funding Dottore's research. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if he's funding everyone's research because, you know, they mentioned that Sandrone's also doing research. Child.
He's simple of mind and not that strong of body.
Damn.
Naming him to the lowest ranked seat lowered the Harbinger's collective prestige. Thankfully, I'm no longer part of that group.
Damn, he was like, us adding Child to the Harbingers actually brought down the Harbingers' quality, like, appearance of quality. They're like, you actually made us worse by joining us. And he was the first Harbinger we ever fought, so I don't know, that just goes to show you.
Nothing remained in her ashes. I have no interest in those who have lost their future.
My boy's out here and he's being a savage. Hey, at least, yeah, like someone in chat just said, at least she's with Rostam now, so it's all water under the bridge.
A smooth-talking yokai. Though she pretends to care about humans to gain the favor of her god, all she seeks are entertaining ways to pass her time.
Sounds like you're throwing shade at your mom here again. She's just pretending to care about humans to kiss up to my mom.
You speak of the descendant of the Kaitahara clan? Then isn't he... Wait, he also possesses an animo vision? And even managed to take on the Raiden Shogun's Musa no Hirotachi?
Yeah. 2 peas in a pod, these two. I really hope they meet each other. They both have an animo vision. They both have history with the Raiden Gokuden. They both, you know, have grievances or encounters with Raiden in the past. I really, really hope they meet each other in the future.
You want to learn more about me? How ridiculous. Don't you know that's only asking for trouble?
Yeah, I'll take it.
Oh, I'm well aware that many, many people will want to seek me out and settle the grudges they've built against me in my past life. Fine by me. Come one, come all, I say. As a matter of fact, I'm somewhat looking forward to it.
He's like, yo, I would love nothing more than to face off against my former co-workers. I hated all of you at those meetings. Screw the Christmas party.
I once thought that deification would allow me to get rid of all my pointless emotions. But I've since abandoned that view. Anger, whether it be from others or myself, is too convenient and useful as a tool. How can some people just never become angry? I find that impossible to even imagine. Do they just not have a single mean bone in their bodies?
It's like, Madge is where my power comes from.
When I entered Irminsul, there was only one thought in my mind. I wish I'd never been born at all.
Great lines from a popular, well-known song. You may have heard of it, Bohemian Rhapsody. Give it a listen.
Irminsul responded to my wish, but didn't bring me the outcome I desired. The fate of this world hasn't changed a single bit when it comes to playing cruel tricks on its prisoners.
Can't be changed, cannot be reversed, can only be accepted. Sooner you accept that, the sooner you can appreciate life.
You and I have crossed paths in the past, but our journeys will eventually diverge. Who knows what will happen next? Let's just wait and see.
I'm really excited to see where they're gonna take his character and Nahida's and like crossing back with the Harbingers in the future. God, imagine Dotori tries to recruit Scaramouche again. Imagine he tries to pull some shit. He's like, yo, you're a puppet? Yo, hold on, you have some divine powers? Yo, you should join our ranks. That would be great.
Hobbies? Those are for idle bodies who have the free time to think about such things.
Okay.
Do I look like I have any interest in distractions?
You could use some. Like, damn, bro.
I'm trying to figure out a way to get rid of you, so I can go commit atrocities. Wait, did you think I was being serious?
Wait, that's actually fucked up. Like, bro, that actually hurt my feelings a little bit. We got a troll over here, ladies and gentlemen. I'm actually getting trolled in 2022 by a fucking puppet, no less.
Do you have some tea? The more bitter, the better. It leaves the most fascinating aftertaste. I'm no fan of Dongo.
I just want them to try it. It would be a shame for them to miss out on Dongo milk.
Just say you hate your mom, dude, and move on. Can you just say you hate your mom? Also, I love how it's Dongo, like the fan Dongo. I hate how people ask me to do that thing. I don't even know what they're saying half the time.
I'm no fan of Dongo, or any other sticky sweets that make me feel like my teeth are fusing together. Keep them to yourself.
How about Dongo milk? I'll put you onto that, all right? You can appreciate that at least.
It's sweet.
I can see the great deal of effort you put forth. The wind is blowing this way. What did you do? You aren't worried about making me more powerful? All right.
If I destroy the planet, it's your fault.
Although I can be of help to you, seeing me as an ally is still a dangerous endeavor. I hope you understand what you're doing. If you still insist on continuing down this path, then don't stand in my way.
Holy moly, man. I've been streaming for 9 hours, and we're capping off here with the Wanderer's lore. I have all characters friendship 10. I have all character lore officially read. Tomorrow, I'm going to pick up where I last left off, and I think we're going to get through weapons and artifact lore. That's what we're probably going to do for tomorrow's stream or tomorrow's upload from when this is being uploaded. So I hope you guys enjoyed it. Of course, leave your thoughts in the comment section for these lore-based videos, and more lore is in the future.